Even now, I struggle to believe how long I was in that room. The full weight of it didn't hit me until I got out, until I was sitting in a hospital with sunlight on my face, and someone told me I'd been missing for nearly 12 years. 12 years. I was taken 2 weeks after my 14th birthday, walking home from a corner store with a bottle of soda and a new comic book. It was late, maybe 10 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet, a patchwork of yellow-lit windows and long stretches of dark lawns. I wasn't scared. I'd done the walk dozens of times. I didn't hear the van until it was already there. It screeched up from behind and cut across the sidewalk. I remember the sound of the tires, wet and shrieking. The side door flew open, and before I could drop the soda, a man was on me. A hand slammed across my mouth. I kicked and twisted, but he was fast, precise, like he'd practiced. I remember the comic fluttering to the pavement. Then darkness. When I came to, I was on cold concrete. My head throbbed, my wrists and ankles burned. I was in a small room, square and windowless, with a single steel door and no light except a dim red bulb in the corner that cast everything in a sickly, blood-washed haze. I wasn't alone. The chain around my leg rattled when I moved. It was bolted to the floor. That was the beginning. At first I screamed. I shouted myself raw, kicking the floor, begging whoever was outside to let me go. No answer. Not then. Not the next day either. The only sign that someone was watching was the tray that would slide through a slot at the bottom of the door. Bland food, rice, some kind of paste, water in a cracked cup. After 3 days, the silence became a kind of violence. The man came on the 4th day. He entered slowly, not rushing or looming, just quiet, deliberate steps. He wore black gloves, a coat too heavy for indoors, and a white surgical mask. His eyes were blue, almost white in the red glow. I scrambled away, but the chain yanked me back before I could make it to the far corner. He didn't speak at first. He just stared. Then he said calmly, "You'll be here a long time. Save your strength." Then he turned and left. Weeks passed, maybe months. I stopped counting days after I reached 50 on the wall. Tallies scratched with a piece of broken plastic I found on the food tray. Time warped in that place. No clocks, no natural light, no sounds except the humming of the red bulb and my own breathing. The man returned every few days. Sometimes he brought food, sometimes he just watched me. He never gave a name, never asked questions, just observed. And then the first time he took blood, he brought a needle and a bag, told me to sit still. I didn't, so he hit me, hard. Then again, I stopped fighting. He drew a pint, maybe more. I was dizzy for hours after. I asked him why. He said, "It keeps us grounded." That was all. It became routine. Every 10 days a blood draw, always from my arm, always sterile, like he'd been trained. Afterward, he'd stand in the doorway and drink some of it, right from the bag, like wine. The rest, he took away. I started to believe he wasn't alone. Once, I asked him why he needed my blood. He paused. "You're clean," he said. "No drugs, no illness, your body's unspoiled. You're ideal." I asked what that meant. He smiled under his mask. "Not just anyone can nourish a soul." I laughed, though nothing was funny anymore. "You're insane." "No," he said, just older than you. The walls of my mind started to fold in. I'd dream about my room, then wake to find I hadn't been dreaming. I'd speak to the shadows, argue with the silence. The man would visit less often, sometimes weeks between appearances. My body withered, but I kept growing. My voice changed. My arms became ropey, my skin ghost pale. My hair grew past my shoulders. My own reflection in the metal tray began to frighten me. At one point, I stopped eating for nearly 4 days. He came, noticed, and without a word forced a feeding tube up my nose. When I vomited, he didn't flinch. Afterward, he whispered, "Starving yourself won't make me go away." One night, maybe my 3rd year, maybe 5th, he brought someone new. A girl. She was unconscious, younger than me, maybe 12. He laid her on the floor, placed a second chain around her ankle, and left. I screamed at him, begged him not to do this, but he said nothing. She was gone the next morning. Not dead, just gone. No sign of her. The chain was still there, blood on the floor. I tried to convince myself it hadn't happened, that I'd imagined it. But the next time he took my blood, he said, "You did well. You were strong for her." I nearly tore out his eyes with a fork. After that, something shifted. He became more careful around me. He always kept a distance. I began to talk more, ask about the outside, about the years, about the reason, and he started to answer. He told me they were a group. Not vampires, not exactly. He called them hosts, said they could live a very long time, but only if they regularly consumed clean human essence. Blood was the easiest to obtain, he claimed, but it wasn't about the blood itself. It was about identity, memory, connection. The blood was a bridge. The better the mind and soul of the donor, the more powerful the host became. That's why they chose children, unspoiled, afraid, pure. Escape wasn't a plan, it was a fluke. I was cleaning the floor with a rag. He made me do that once every month. Said he liked it neat. The chain had started to grind the bolt in the concrete, loose after years of tugging and friction. I noticed it moved, just a hair, but it was enough. For the next month, every time I had privacy, I wrenched at that chain. Wiggle, twist, pull, until one day it cracked. It didn't fall off entirely, but it was loose enough that I could slide the bolt through the eye and slip the chain. I waited for the door to open again, for him to enter. He came, as always, to take his share, and that night I lunged. He was faster than I expected, stronger, but I had surprise. We fought like animals. I bit his wrist. He slammed my head into the wall. I stabbed him in the neck with a jagged piece of the tray. He gurgled, fell, and for the first time I saw fear in his eyes. He wasn't healing. He crawled toward the door, but I grabbed the chain and wrapped it around his throat. I pulled, hard. It took longer than I thought to kill him, maybe 10 minutes. He died staring at me, choking, gasping, his fingers twitching like insects. I didn't cry. The house above was abandoned, windows boarded, dust everywhere. No furniture, nothing. A place that didn't exist. I walked outside barefoot. The sun hurt, my skin peeled, my legs buckled. But I made it. I made it to a gas station 5 miles down the road. They called the cops. An ambulance took me. I couldn't speak for 2 days. I was 19. 19. I've been out for almost 4 years now. The police never found any records. No other children. No group. No trail. Just the house, my chain, and the body of a man they couldn't identify. No fingerprints, no DNA match, no dental records. It's like he didn't exist. But I know better. I know what I saw. And sometimes when I dream, I still see those blue-white eyes staring at me from the dark, and I hear his voice. You're clean. You're pure. You're mine.